ask questions, talk, see what you have. So, ET, what's going on, man?
So, as you may know, I'm a bear. I love crypto. You know what I mean? I love it. But, it was kind of at a point in my life where I had a certain amount of money, let's say 40 G's. And I knew if I made a mistake, I'd be back at zero. I just got out. So, I feel like a lot of this is caused because crypto is such a good movement. It's everyone's who really loves it. But it's so hard to take those emotions out. You know what I mean? So I just see it going much lower. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But I just remember as a kid living through the '08 financial crisis and just like filling up our tank a quarter of the way. You know what I mean? And so my parents weren't going to buy any Bitcoin back then. And I don't know. Maybe it's to my own fault of seeing it this way, but that's just my bearish case. And if anyone, maybe there's just enough people with a lot of money who want this stuff. But if they're anything like me growing up, you're not buying any Bitcoin in tough times. Not even, I mean, heck, we couldn't even afford anything in a good time. So how are we going to buy them? You know what I mean? So you got to.
ET, you've got Moon Boy in the logo. You've got Moon Boy, the moon in the background right now. I mean, when I see ET, I think of the moon. So what is when did you make this shift to where you were just fully bearish? Did it take
Honestly,
the drop down to these, because for me, it wasn't until January that I finally started to lean bearish. I definitely didn't hit the top. It took a little bit to be able to convince. And even a couple times after that, man, there were a couple times where I was like, maybe we'll get a little bit more relief, a bit higher, because, I really wanted to see that blow off top and we never got it. And, like that wasn't traditional as far as what we've seen with previous happening cycles. I knew it threw me off a little bit.
definitely did. And I mean, honestly, I call myself the Moon Boy because my P&L, that's what I want to moon. Not, I don't care what happens. My money, my net worth is going to go moon. I don't care, if it's going to go up or down. That's kind of the idea. But what I saw a correlation, and everyone says that the NASDAQ correlates with Bitcoin. But I want to make the case that the Russell 2000 is a stronger correlation. And it threw off, and it was very hard to see this correlation because of the China mining ban. And so when I noticed this correlation, and it may sound weird, and everyone says that, if the stock market goes down, Bitcoin's going to go down. I think Bitcoin's the leading indicator for the whole market. And I could be wrong. It's just seeming to work well for me so far. And especially with the companies that are coming along these days, they're almost all risky, speculative companies. And if they're not, they're getting bought by one of the bigger ones. So I knew that the small caps actually took a beating first. Then it was crypto, and I just studied market rotations. And the 70s and early 80s was a good time to study for this sort of thing. So you just knew how to navigate once the dominoes fell. And so when Bitcoin fell, I basically made the assumption that the large cap tech stocks were going to fall. And that's when I knew if I was right that it would just be very, very egregious of me because these things have been going up for 15 years now. So it was a theory I had, and that's when I went full bear, just because I saw the bearish divergence was unbelievable. If you go look through my Twitter, I mean, it was blatantly obvious. And the PE values, for God's sakes, the most overvalued of all time. So ask yourself, if I'm buying something when it's the most overvalued of all time, could I have got a better deal? Yes, infinitely. So I don't know. You know what I mean? I've always been a negative guy, so this just comes natural to me. But that is my most logical case I guess I could lay out.
Did you say the Bitcoin is not related to S&P and NASDAQ?
I said I think it's all related because if nobody has money for anything, no one's going to buy anything. But I think my theory is that the Bitcoin is kind of the leading indicator of all risk assets. It's the granddaddy of risk assets, if you ask me, because there could be a new company that can make a flying car. Okay, well, what if that crashes? Okay.
But if you follow the S&P for the last 6 months, you can see that the Bitcoin is actually following the S&P step by step in the last 6 months.
That's what everyone tells me, and I would have to kindly disagree with that. And I think, well, the S&P, the people are going to sell that later. Okay, it's more liquid. More people have it. They're going to get rid of their Bitcoin before they get rid of their Acorns account.
Hey, as long as you found alpha in it, man, and if it's something that works for you, and go for it. I won't argue one way or the other.
And I could be wrong. And I could be wrong. I'm not claiming to be right. I have been right for the past few months, but that does not mean my theory is true. And I may not have been right. It might be all in my head, but it's just what I see. If you see Bitcoin tanking over the weekend, you think that the S&P is going to open up 5 points? There's no way. There's no way, because they get their hands on it. They can trade it all weekend. You can just kind of see. And of course, you can look at the futures, but they're always playing games with the futures.
That's interesting take, man. So Goku, what about you, man? What are you feeling right now? What
actually, I want